Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's question time. We are live and we are trying a new setting, so let me know if the quality of the stream feels really poor, slow, dropping frames too much or anything like that. Just let me know in chat if anything is going weird. I can fix it for the next stream in time. But we're going to try out these couple of new settings here. The picture hopefully will look clearer, but I don't know if it's going to have a problem with the upload speed, but we'll see how we're getting on. So don't know what tonight is all about. Tonight is a time for you to ask me any question you like regarding game dev, Unreal Engine, or anything you really like at all. We can answer as many as we can within the hour or so. All you have to do is put your question into chat, or if you're a Patreon member, you could have asked your question early ahead of the show by going to our Discord. In there, you'll find question time queue jump. Get your question in there, and you can get it answered without having to be here for the live stream. So that's what we've got to answer first of all. So whilst we're going through these questions, please put your questions into chat, and we'll try and get a bundle of them. We can see what we can answer. Okay. So the first question I've got from the Patreon Discord is this is from Domino. Hey Ryan, how could I make it so that I have a door that requires a key that is in my inventory? This is using your inventory tutorial. Everything is brilliant, but I just want you to make it so the door only opens when I have the key in my inventory and disappears after I use it. Okay, so if you use an inventory system that I showed you how to make, you see they had a couple of extra things to it. First thing you need to have is a query inventory function. The query inventory function is going to look at your map or array, depending on what way you've done it. If you like my way, it'd be like a map. And you'd be looking at, sorry, there'd be an array of maps. And you'd have to do like a for each loop to go through and see if you've got that item. Okay, so you do a query inventory for a particular item. And then to remove it from your inventory, it's just using the remove from inventory code that you already have in there. It's nothing extra than that. I'll probably have to do an extra video, probably, or two on the inventory system. That being one of them, is how to do query inventory. Next question is from John Toons. How do I set up the physics asset to return it bone names? I run the trace, hit actors correct, hit components correct, but bone name is always none. So the only thing I can think of is, so let me put in this character here, for example. So when the line trace comes in on this character, it's going to first of all hit the capsule. So you need to make the capsule ignore the type of trace that it is, first of all, so it can reach the mesh. If it can reach the mesh, then that means, and it should be outputting. It's hard to know without the details of what you get in output, but if it hits the mesh, the hit component should be the mesh component. And if it is the mesh component, then it should return a bone name. Now, it would only return the bone name if there's a physics asset attached to your mesh. Now, if you've imported it in, chances are it already has generated one for you. But if it hasn't, it's easy enough to go ahead, take a look. All you have to do is go into your mesh, go into the mesh asset, sorry. In the asset details, on the left-hand side, you'll scroll down, you'll find a physics asset. This is the one that's been assigned to your character. As I said, most of the time it comes in by default, auto-generated for you. Anyway, you can open this up, and you should see this sort of appearance where you've got a load of like oblong shapes and spheres that describe your character. If you're missing a large amount of spheres or have none on it, then that's an issue, because then you have to rebuild your physics asset from scratch. It's fairly simple to do, but that's something you'll have to do. So if you're returning none, I'm assuming then that your line trace is not actually hitting your mesh and is hitting your capsule component instead. If it is doing that, make the capsule component ignore the trace. That's the immediate solution to the problem I can think of. Doom Cross is the final question in the queue jump. How do you approach a time rewind mechanic in a game where the player has the ability to go back in time during gameplay, reverting all active positions to that time, like in Prince of Persia? Ooh. Well, all rewind stuff must be writing to a buffer. So this is without having to make it myself. I imagine the way it's working is with a buffer, a looping buffer. So it's just constantly sending sending data to this buffer as well as to the game. I don't think there's any built-in way of doing it. You're gonna have to hard code it yourself. But you make this buffer to receive this data and all that stuff, and it's just on a loop for a certain amount of time. And then when you push a button, you can then rewind the loop and play back the information back to your main rendering. That's the way they generally work, from what I understand. But I don't know how to make one in Unreal without having to hard code it from scratch, which is a whole thing on itself. There may be a built-in thing. I'm not aware of one. So I could be mistaken, but I unfortunately cannot. Anyway, let's jump into our chat here. Hello everyone in chat. Hello, we've got Lab 1B World. Hello Fozza, Red Fog, Will. Hi Henning. Hi Dominic, Dylan, Ben. Hello Paul, Arthur. Hello Caitlin. How is everyone doing? So, I've got loads of questions flowing through here. Let's take a look at what we've got going on here. So, the first question, let's pick one here. Lab 1B's got some Android packaging errors. Your errors are packaging, exception in thread main, out of memory error, Java needs space. I'm guessing that your device that you're trying to build to, a device, has run out of space. You need to clear the space from the thing. Be aware when you are building an Android app, you need to make sure that your Android app is beneath a certain threshold in package size. I think that threshold when I last looked was 2 gigabytes, but I could be wrong. So make sure it is underneath that. Okay. But that is usually the problem is that you are running out of space. Java heap, although the heap refers maybe you just got too much, but it's doing packaging. It could be that your game's a bit too hard on it. I don't know. It's hard to know without seeing your game really. It could be like you've got too much going on, and the memory it's referring to is the RAM. But I'm gonna guess it's mostly to do with the actual hard drive space itself. Next question. Will, how would I go about making a character creation so that players can choose from sex, class, skin color, and other various physical attributes? Say every class character creator is a little bit different than the other. Most of them work by just swapping in and out modular pieces of a character. So you've got like a head, and you just swap out the head. So for skin color, it's handled by changing tone on the material. But if you want to do like actual like a sliders type way where I do like fat to thin and things like that, a couple of ways I can think of is morph targets. I don't know if Unreal supports morph targets. Looked. I think it does. Hold up. UE5 morph targets. Yeah, you could do morph targets on that. Okay. Yeah, they do. Okay. I've not done it before in Unreal, so I'm not too sure how you go about that. I need to look at the documentation of it. Morph target previewer in Unreal Engine 5.1. Oh my god, my son just walked in and scared the crap out of me. Sit there then. In bed. Scared the Christ out of me. Okay, yeah, so you can. You have to. I can't do it because I need to model some stuff. But you basically model like the two extremes, and you can slide more between them. On the skeletal mesh, by the looks of it. So if I go here. Oh yeah, there you go. Morph target. Yeah. So you need another model of it to be imported in as a morph target. There is documentation on it. Have a look at it. That's all I'm looking at right now. Take a look at this. If you want to do like a sliding scale one, it does involve a bit more work, but you can do that. But most just do swap out, so just swap in and out different pieces. Next question. I know there's quite a lot of questions, so I'm sorry if I do miss it. If I do miss your question, just chuck it into chat again, and I'll try and catch them. I'm just kind of just going dancing around the place, trying to catch random ones. Henning was wondering if it's possible for Unreal to handle lots of math similar to games like Diablo with many enemies and damages modifiers. Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%. Yes, it's a computer after all, so yes, it can handle tons of maths. Dylan Cars, I'm adding weapons to my model and they spawn really small. Is this probably because my model was scaled really big when I put them in Unreal? No, it's fair because you need bigger radius for big mod. So if you are noticing models are coming in really small on your character, there's two things that could be a cause of that. One, you've actually modeled it too small in Blender or whatever you're doing it in. And when obviously you're importing it in, comes in broken. So the fix to that is obviously model it in Blender at the correct dimensions. The second thing that people often mistake is they'll attach it to a mesh that they've already scaled and attach it to or a component they've already scaled. When you do that, it inherits that scale. So for example, if I scale this right, I've got this arrow mesh here. Sorry, excuse myself. Yeah, so if I take this mesh and do like 0.5, I can't do it. Right. So this cube here, I'll change to 0.5. There we go. There we go. I had none lock off. That's why it wasn't working. And I'll duplicate that. And I set that to 1, and I attach it to the cube here. In fact, actually, let me just move it out of the side so you can see the 2 by. Okay. So if I attach this to this original cube, the size of the scale has now gone to 2. If I reset that back to 1, you'll see that it is now the same size as that cube. So it inherits that scale from it. So be aware of that issue. That could also be the reason you're seeing that. But it's more than likely you've modelled it in Blender at the wrong size. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, all move. Yeah, you've all used morph targets before I have. Yeah, so Dylan, that's the reason why you're seeing that. Ben, make a data asset inventory system. I mean, you could do. The thing with an inventory system, like we can't do it all now because it's gonna take too long. But a data asset is just a replacement of a data table. So everything you're seeing with data asset is the same as data table. So rather than storing row names, you're storing assets in like an array or struct or whatever it is you're doing. So you can quite easily take the same tutorial system that I showed you how to do and you replace it with data assets. All you're replacing is the get table row stuff. So rather than oh hang on, let me just... George, go to bed. Good. So imagine it's an inventory system, for example. The map, if you want to do a map, you can. If you want to do a map method. George. Content. This would be the data asset. Yep. And that'd be a map with integer of how many you have of that data asset. Or if you can make that a struct using the slot method, you would have that as a struct, and then you have that content as an array. And if you want to add an item to your content, add item. You're just simply getting your content. So it works exactly the same. So rather than getting data table by row name and things like that, I can just go to bed. Get a drink, George. He's alright. Yeah, so we just do the same thing as this. It's no real difference. It's the exact same. Oh, fine first. Doing it. Oh, gonna crash. We're saving. Then plug that into there. Okay, and that's your adding an item. There's no real difference there, Ben. You can easily do it. It's not. You can probably do it yourself. It's not too difficult at all. Data asset is just a place for a repository of data, much like how a data table is, except that rather than having one asset, you have one asset per item, and that is all there is to it. Think of it as a stretch goal. If you want to do a data asset system, do one. Go to the data system, the inventory system, and that'll be your stretch goal. Once you've finished the series, make it work for data assets rather than a data table. It works exactly the same way. I do know how data. Do you want me to show you how data assets work? I've done it before in a couple of other streams, but I'll do it. So you make the a new primary data asset class. You name it whatever you want. So, for example, we do item data asset, and all you do in here is add a variable for each item. So, if you imagine it's a data table, which you're probably more familiar with, each column would be a variable in here. Okay, that struct would be here. So you'll have name, description, thumbnail, you know, etc, etc. 2D. Go toilet. So you can set all them up here, and that's it. And then in my inventory system component, let me just change that to be the item data asset. Okay. And if I want to read that information about that, I can like get let's say I want to print out the name of the item. All I have to do is just like any other asset. I'll just get here and just get in the name value. Oh, I forgot to change this. Name. Yeah, so it works exactly the same. You just get different variables from that. Coughing. I don't know if you can hear it. Nutler's Mines. Is there any workflow for blocking a function during another one? Like, I don't want my character dash during a jump. I'd normally do a bunch of branch checks, but I feel there's a better way. Yeah, it's basically a bunch of Boolean checks, really. It's just it should be just one Boolean check. Yeah, you just add Boolean check for it. I usually do it as like well, something's already built in. Like if you want to do jumping, that's already in there. You can just get is jumping. No, it's falling. Sorry, you want. Yeah, you can get that, and that'll get you jumping or falling, whatever. You can't dash during that stage. If you want to say you're going up, you want to okay, am I rising? Basically, you get the velocity and look at the height velocity going up. There's not much really in it apart from just making booleans for various different things. So if you're dashing, you've got a dash function, you just set a boolean at the end of it saying is dashing. And you have like a custom event for start dash. It'll do its thing, blah 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 code. At the end you'll just do yeah. And then when you're doing a jump, you just do like a normal branch. Like check. There's nothing extra special about it really. Yeah. Whatever condition you want to do. And if you wanted to, if you're finding that you're doing loads of checks and you can combine them into a macro or a function and call it like can jump, for example. 1 2 4 8 1 6 3 2 alphabets. How do you create / use custom movement mode in the character movement component? It's mostly used in C++ classes, but you can do it in here. So for those who are wondering, you can change the movement mode here to custom and give it an a byte, not an inch, like a byte, which could be like a custom enum if you want. So for example, you could have enum custom movement modes. Put in a couple here. Plus about there you go. We've got 3 of them. And in here, you are gonna do check that out. Can't remember what I call it. Make little bytes. No. Enum. Little enum. Custom. There you go. So you want little enum custom movement modes here. Now I can choose the movement mode I want to compare it, set it to in this list. Now set it to that. When you do that, it triggers an event. And it gets to this event. No, not that one. Our movement mode changed here. So this will get triggered, and it also trigger the new custom mode here, and you can then use that to do things. But you have to set up the functions, events. It depends on what you're trying to do, obviously. But you put it all in here. But that's basically it. You can't really do much more than that. You can't like edit it to make it really customized and easy to check, like flags and easy to like keep track of. Like for example, I could do that, but I'm not keeping track of what movement mode I'm in. If I get movement mode, you see it doesn't exist. I can't do it, so you have to store it because normally the character movement mode, character movement component just does is walking, falling, flying. It does those sort of things. So you have to make your own versions of those if you make use of those sort of things. Other than that, it's at it really. Sergio Dominguez. How would you make AI walk on walls like a spider? My guess is following splines. I would love to know your take on this. So the walking on walls or rounded shapes, something like that, you basically have to make your own character movement component. So this thing here, you have to make your own custom one, or edit this existing one if you know C++ coding. But if you want to make your own one, you can do so. All what you're doing, if how gravity works in games. So for example, I make a pawn. Okay, custom pawn, and in here we'll have a capsule. Ooh. And on that we'll have a mesh. They're basically making your own character. Yeah. Okay. And then movement, the way movement and gravity and all that works, jumping and falling. Gravity, like all you're doing when you're doing character movement component is you are putting physics, simulate physics on and off when you want them to fall. So whilst you're running around, you don't have it on. But let's say I have a custom jump in here, or like move input. So you have like the basic pawn moving thing here, floating pawn movement. So where you can set some basic velocity and speeds and things like that. But the capsule here, you would make sure that it's not simulating physics to start off with. And then when you want to push it forwards, add movement input. And take the and in roll rotation. Let me drag that in. I ain't got a camera on it, have I? That's okay. We'll make do without a camera. I'll just change that to my custom pawn. Pawn. We. Right, so floating ball movement 1200, velocity 1 in that direction. I believe you can just I could be wrong. Let me just make sure it's doing the right direction. Get actor forward vector. It's on this, yeah, target's pawn. Yeah. Oh, I'm only putting on going, aren't I? It's ongoing, isn't it? Oh, just trigger attack. Add move input. Yeah. That should work. I'm actually getting this. Add a break. What I'm getting at is that you have to make your own gravity, own movement system completely from scratch. So I'm getting it. Give me inputs. Oh, I know why. This bit. I didn't turn off the breakpoint. There we go. So you can make your own custom movement component to do various things. Okay. So jumping isn't one that exists yet on the floating point movement. You can't just take the jump. So you make a custom thing in here to jump. So I'm going to do IA jump. And you put in all the functions for jumping in here. So we can do jump. Quick jump. And first thing we'll do is tell the capsule here to simulate physics. And then we can launch it in the air. So you do, you can't do launch character because that's a character-based thing. So you have to add an impulse. Add impulse. Yep. And it's just things like this, just all the time. And then when you're in the air, you want to say, do a line check to see if you're on the floor. If you're not on the floor, apply gravity to it. So at the moment, if my character starts in the air, yeah. I won't go anywhere. So if I want to do a check for gravity on the tick event, you do find, or I have to do a line trace down. They have to do it all manually. It's like, line trace by channel. Get actor location. And add. Ooh. That's the height of the capsule, I guess. Yep. Capsule half height. Bit on it. 5. There you go. And that's your endpoint, and that's going to be a find floor, and you can make that a function itself. So you do a find floor function, and then if you want to do a wall thing, it'd be like find wall, and you just change the direction that it's going to do that tracing. Once it does this, then you have to turn gravity onto it. So then we go to capsule. That is false, like this, for example. We can do capsule set simulate physics. True. You can force it down. Oh, not true. False. Right. And you have to make it collide and things like that. And and then when it hits the floor, it just stop simulating physics. But it's a whole thing. So if you want to do it with the wall, it's the same sort of thing. But if you want to rely on not using the gravity in the world, you turn their gravity scale to be 0. But their physics has no gravity on it, like so. And you have to manually add force to them, push them to the right or left or to the wherever they want to. I think. It is definitely no small feat. Making your own custom move. Same has to be done if you want to do gravity in a different direction, apart from up or down. You have to make your own gravity system, which is just applying a force to something, so to speak. So, for example, simulate physics here, but if I turn this to have no gravity on it, so gravity scale, enable gravity, that's going to use the world gravity, which I don't want it to do. So simulate physics here. We'll then do capsule by force, add force, whatever it's called. Add force, yeah, add force. And you can put a force in here of value. Gravity usually is 980, but you never know. Might want to use the mass in that as well. Oh, obviously, want to go negative. Oh. Minus 980. Yeah. Oh yeah, need to turn inclusion enabled on the capsule. I'll just change it to a pawn now. Should make it, yeah. Yeah, so Oh, is it in itself? Doing it now. Let's draw debug for this. Oh, I'm going the wrong way, that's why. I want to subtract. Like so. Still not adding force to it. Why not adding? I've got collision and other things here. So it's got collision. On. Nemo. Yup. What does that do? That's not. Why is this not going down? That's got no collision. Right, interesting that. That should definitely be printing out hello. Capsule. That's all attached to the capsule. That's the root, so that should be taking everything with it. I don't know. I have to sit down. I'm not going to spend too long on it and bug fixing it, but yeah, you have to make your own custom gravity system. So you just do, rather than find floor, you find wall. It's a whole thing. I knew why this weren't going down. But going up. As soon as I added collision to it, it didn't want to do it. Yeah, let's just put that as a physics actor. Overlap all. Something to think about. Yeah, see, not green physics, phys only. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't know. I'll have to sit down and figure that one out one day. Anyway, let's take a look at other questions we have in chat here. We've got Lab 1B's World, how to make a shop UI for Endless Runner game. It'd be the same as making a shop UI for any other game. If I've got a shop UI system, tutorial says I made a few years ago, you can just use that. Lottie, is it better to set widgets at the highest quality level and allow it for scale to lower PCs? Hang on, allow for it to scale lower for players' PC quality. That's true for everything. Yeah, if you want the highest quality available to people, you need to provide that, and let the engine scale it down. Palisphos. Currently making an alien world and I want the grass to glow when the player walks by it. Any ideas how to add this effect? Yes, I do. So we need to make some fake grass close to real grass. Okay, we'll do it with this bush graphic that you get in the starter content. Okay, like this. Okay. What? Anyway, so children. Right, we need to make a custom material. Let's do that. Glow grass. Okay, so you need to basically lerp between a glow and a not glow. So emissive color is the big one for this one. So we choose get the color of the grass we want to use. We'll do green. We'll saturate a little bit. And we'll put it into base color. This. Okay. Let's say I want it to glow instead. So what I'm going to do is I multiply that by value in here, example, to get this. Okay, now I can glow. Now to switch between the two, you do something called sphere masking. No, bed. No, hang on. Oh, this child is annoying me. Go to bed. Yes. Go to bed. I'm gonna actually murder him. Anyway, so so you have the two states, so we need to separate these out. Okay. And you do a lerp. Linear interpolate. So yeah, kids, gotta love them. I'm going to linear interpolate this value into here. Now, the main thing I want to do is I want to interpolate the attributes of the material. So an easy way of doing that is if I click on this here and click on use material attributes, do that, and then I can plug this into there. Oh wait, no. I have to first of all set up the attributes. So material attributes. And we'll do make material attributes. Plug that into. Can we not lerp? Blend. Blend. There we go. That's the one. And put that into there. So you got this one will be the normal one, and then we'll do another. The emissive one. Okay, and I'll just change the color of this to be a bit more flamboyant and put that into there. Now the alpha for this is going to be a scalar value to start off with, so I can show you what this does. So I can just do that. The 0 comes to there, 1 goes to there. So this is the bit that's going to be changing more dynamically. So for that, we need to know a certain thing we want to pass through is going to be the player's location. So for that, you need a material parameter collection. So material and parameter collection, and we'll call it NPC common. And in here, we're going to add a vector parameter. We'll call it player location. So, okay, and so on here, you're going to look for the parameter collection. Yeah, collection parameter, they call it. Really wish they named the things the same. So you choose your parameter collection, and then you choose the player location from the drop down. So we're going to feed this later on, the location of the player. Will you just sit down? Oh my god. Down. So irritating. So that we're going to feed that later on the player's location. So the power of this is going to be from this sphere mask. Okay. And you've got these two values. So A is the texture space that you want to work in. Okay, so this would be the world's position. It's world position, that one. B is going to be this one. Radius is how wide you want it to be. So we'll leave it at 256. That's fine. And hardness, we'll leave it as 100 so you get a hard cut off. Actually, no, we'll have to soften it a little bit. Let's do 50. And that'll go into sphere mask. Oh, it's float 4. Oh, let's just mask that out. Opponent mask. Just have 3. Yeah. Right ho. So now I'll do that. Now I need to feed it that parameter. So what I'm going to do is go to my player character. And as we're moving around, add it to its move here. If you set vector parameter value, it'll ask for a collection. I'm going to choose the common one. Parameter name is going to be player location, and in here we're going to get actor location. I'm going to plug that into there. Then plug this in here, and that is it. So that should do it. So if I click on each of these, if I go, actually, I'll tell you what, I'll do it with the foliage tool. Content, push. This, and I override the material with my glow. Righto, so I just pop this in. No, I don't. Oh. Now it's going to glow as I walk through it. Yeah, as simple as that. So I'll go back over that code in a second. It's the same method, by the way, if you want to move stuff as well. You can make it wiggle and move around you, so it moves out of the way. So let me show you the code again for the material. So we made it a material attributes thing, so we can blend the two together. The first one is when it's normal, okay, and the second one is when it's not, okay, and that'll be when it's glowing. And that's just A and B. So it works like a normal lerp. If you've never used a lerp before, it works exactly the same as that. The alpha of this is just a sphere mask. So imagine this is drawing a big sphere around a particular location. Now, the way it does is the absolute world position in A. A is sort of like, where does the where the coordinates I'm going to give it, in what space do they exist in? Essentially, think of it like that way. So in this case, it's the world. So I'll put it in the world position. Okay? And the B will be the actual coordinates of the center of where you want your rate of your sphere to be. In this case, it's going to be at the player's location, which I'm going to feed it through the material parameter collection. The mask is just there to change it from a float 4 to a float 3. That's what this is. And then the radius and hardness control. And that's it. And that's all there is to it. If you want things to move and scale as well and things like that, you can do that too. You can just go to world position offset and change things like that there. I'll see someone like, do you mind showing how to make them move? Yeah, we can do. So I don't know. Ideally, you want this vertex painted. I don't know if these actually are. Oh, hang on. Where do they show it now? Vert colors. No, it's all white. Great. Usually you'd have the bottom not painted white. You'd have it black. I don't know if you can paint in it. I think you can. Make changes to it. You can just override the whole thing on that. Yeah, it's just okay. So normally you have the bottom black and the top bit white, so the black bottom staying still. But let's say you want to move it away from that location. So you've got the player location here. You want to get the location of the actor that this belongs to. So you can do actor position world space. And then you need to work out the direction between the two of them. So get the direction between those two. I don't think there is a direction. So classic Pythagoras stuff in it. Opponent mask. Opponent mask. You want Y. So okay, so we want to square this. Square. I'll play by itself. There should be a square in there. Square root. Am I being dumb? Huh? Oh, power. It would be, wouldn't it? Yeah, power. There you go. Power. Jesus Christ. Dumb moment. Long day. Yeah, so you square that. Square that. No, my brain can't think the maths. No, that would just give us the length. Like distance, not the. That would just give the distance, not direction. I need to do Sine cos tan. Try and remember secondary school maths. Sine. I need to sine. Fine. We'll get there. Hide that button. Sine. Give us. That's not right. Oh. Sine. Multiply this by amount. Don't know what this amount would be though. Let's see what that does without that. Don't. So it should be just one, the value, so it won't move really much at all. So if I were to multiply it, that's what I was thinking of doing that. Multiply this by 50. Yeah, there you go. Now move away from me. There we go. But it's going to move the whole thing. If you have it vertex colored, you just move the top. But it's not vertex colored. I guess I could make it use the height of the cat thing. So the higher is, the more it moves. Do that. Well, I'll explain the maths. This might jog people's memories in how maths works in, from doing it in school. You're basically doing sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse, and adjacent. Like you're working out the angle between 2 points. So imagine this is 2D. You know the distance in x and y it is. So we take the three-dimensional distance, RGB for each one, the positions, and divide them by each other because it's opposite over adjacent. or opposite over hypotenuse, whatever it is, and then you put it into a sine wave, and that outputs the degree angle you are going for. Now this would be like between 0 and 1 sine wave. So you then multiply that by strength and give you the bobs. So it's not perfect, but that should do it. So yeah, I wonder if we could do it by height of the thing. Local position. Or object position. World space. Do mask. Try this. This won't work for everything because obviously this only works on one level. Oh, in fact, we don't want B. Divide by how high is it? And then clamp this. Be the alpha. And the lerp will be enter. I think I say it's better if it's vertex painted. Mohammed, hello. What is a reliable event? When you make an event reliable, it's for multiplayer. So imagine how multiplayer works is that when you're sending information over to other players, you're sending loads of information across, like in trucks, and just like throwing all these packets out. What reliable means is that you're going to make sure that package there has been signed and delivered. So it's making sure that that thing reaches its destination. So if it's super important that every player sees that event trigger, tick it as reliable. Don't get in the habit of ticking reliable for everything, though, because obviously that's not going to be helpful for your bandwidth. You're going to suck. So you do it, save it for the important things. But it just makes sure that data packet actually makes it to the other end. There you go. Arthur just explained to you in technical terms. There you go. Hey, what would be the best way to stitch levels together at runtime? I want to make an endless train ride by streaming in maps. But most tutorials I find are about noise-based procedural height maps. Procedural stuff is the only way really to do it. If you want to, I mean, you can't stitch levels together. You stitch actors together, so you make very large actors for the environments and just put them all on. No, I'm not too sure. It would have. It also it depends on what kind of level of stitching you want. Like, do you want it to repeat like on a loop, or is it changing randomly each time? If it's on a loop, you can just make giant blueprints of the level go past, and then teleport them back to the other end, and then you get to the other end, and like a conveyor belt type thing. You could do that. Yeah. Anyway, that will have to do because I can hear my daughter crying. I can hear him trying to annoy me, and we're at the end of the stream anyway. So thank you very much everyone for joining us for the live stream. We're live again on Saturday doing our dragon riding demonstration. We're going to try and make dragon riding from World of Warcraft Dragonflight live on stream. We're going to try and figure out how to make a flying dragon, basically. So come along and watch the stream on Saturday. Thank you so much for all the patrons for their continued support. If you want to watch this video back straight away, head over to patreon.com/RyanLady. All your support is very much appreciated. It's the reason why I've got the lights on in this place. and I can feed myself and the children. So thank you so much for all your support. Other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye everyone.